everyone, my name is Belinda Goodman, and I'm a lead quality assurance engineer in the US at SalesLoft based out of Atlanta, Georgia. And this is my presentation on how living my company's 5 core values has made me a better QA and person. So as you can tell, I really love my company, but today I'm not here to tell you about my company or sell you on them or say that these should be the core values at your company. What I really want to show you is how I've been able to take these 5 core values and apply them to what I do as QA every day, with a few tips and tricks that I've picked up along the way. And before you say it, because I know you're thinking it, I was a skeptic too. But these core values have really helped me grow both personally and professionally in and out of work, and I hope they'll help you too. So what does Biostore's action mean to me? Well, it means that I have to take the initiative to find those gaps in the process and those pain points that I run into every day and try to solve them. I'm always on the lookout for programs or hacks to make my life easier, both in and out of work. Whether it's finding ways to create test data or finding solutions to streamline repetitive tasks to make it easier for me to test and maximize my time, one thing is for sure, I'm always on the lookout for repetitive tasks that are sucking not only my time, but those of my coworkers as well. And as you can see, I posted 3 different kind of time savers that I use all the time and I advocate for constantly. They're free programs and they don't require any setup other than for you to go ahead and save those on your browser and just open them up the next time that you need that. In QA, there's never enough time and it can become all too easy to start skipping through steps that you don't think apply. But John Doerr says it best, execution is everything, and in QA, it's no different. Make sure you're taking the time to understand the why and focus on planning, even if you only have 5 minutes before you have to jump in and start testing. QAs wear so many hats, but the expectation behind what we do and what others think we do or should be doing don't always align. So make sure you're speaking up and setting expectations as well. I know this is really hard to speak up, and a lot of you are probably introverted like me. But you're going to find that you're going to level up by doing this, and everyone will always be on the same page, well, mostly, since you have a shared vocabulary and understanding of what the expectations are. This goes without saying, but we're nothing without our customers. As QAs, we're the advocate for our customers, and it's important for us to always recognize how important this role is to the team. And this is where manual and automation testers really shine, because we're able to put ourselves in the shoes of our customers and be proactive and in some cases reactive when we need to be able to take care of them the best way possible. Again, I know the tension can run high and sometimes QA can feel like a thankless role, but even if they aren't saying it, developers and product alike appreciate your commitment to the customer. So whether you're becoming an SME or subject matter expert on the product, one of my favorite words, you're following all the support related channels so you can report that bug before anyone else does to your team, or you're listening to customer calls and getting your hands on anything else that really helps you learn about the customer, make sure you're sharing these findings back with the team and they'll really appreciate it. And the best feeling is when someone else speaks up for the customer before you do. But they can only do that if you're sharing this knowledge with them as well. As a QA, I feel like we're often misunderstood and viewed as being negative. But this core value is also misunderstood. Glass half full is often viewed as not being able to have those tough conversations and reflections. Have you ever heard someone say, oh, they're wearing their rose-colored glasses or they expect me to only see things in a rosy way and it's not realistic? But to me, that's not what it means at all. To me, being truly glass half full is being able to understand that the glass can be both half full and half empty at the same time. And what do I mean? Well, let's take bugs for instance. How many of you still shudder when you find a customer defect come in that you didn't know about and you're like, man, I should have found that earlier? Maybe even you beat yourself up over it. But the next time a bug comes in, because inevitably we know it's going to come in, take the time to dive in and figure out why you missed it and then share these findings with others. This might sound a little silly, but you're going to find so much support when you do this because everyone else is going to come to you and say, gosh, I didn't even think about that and I'm really glad you shared this with me so that I didn't cause that same customer concern. And I couldn't move on the slides without talking about phrasing. Phrasing is everything, especially in QA, and it's probably a lot of the reason why we're viewed as being negative. I know there's so much pressure and excitement when we find a customer issue before it goes into wild, but we need to be careful about how we are presenting this back to our developers and teams. When I come to a new team or work with new developers on a special project, whether they've worked with 100 QAs and had a positive experience or 100 QAs and had a negative experience, I make sure that they know that I'm a tool to help make their code the best possible. And I'm happy to help throughout the process, wherever they need me. And when we find issues, letting them know that's one less customer reported defect or bad experience that we're giving our customers. Really, we're there to make the code shine. It's also important to recognize those gaps in knowledge, and that most of the time when I send a bug back or you send a bug back, it's not because the developer forgot to do something, but it's often a learning experience that we didn't plan as well as we could have. Maybe we missed a use case or acceptance criteria, or maybe that day I was thinking really outside the box and looking at the system in a way no one else had really thought about before. And when I do this, I'm able to share those findings with my developers and help them think like that as well. And maybe they can help brainstorm an even different way to look at the system. So team over self is the value that I hold most dear. I feel like if you're really team over self, then all the other core values kind of fall into place. And I attribute a lot of my personal and professional growth to the team that I work with and the honorary teammates and relationships that I've built in the testing community. It seems a little cliche, but it's so true, especially in the midst of a pandemic. Whether you want to admit it or not, everyone is having a hard time right now in different ways. Whether it's working remotely or working in the office, it's more important than ever to streamline our communication and make sure we're there for each other. So making sure you're reaching out to your teammates and having genuine conversations about how they are without asking for something in return, or taking the initiative to schedule meetings, especially if you're the one that needs help. Just be mindful of other people's working hours and don't bombard them with messages. No one likes to get on after a long meeting that maybe some people knew they were going to be on to a slew of Slack messages and emails that they have to reply to before they can jump right back in. So if you find yourself with a long laundry list of things that you need to talk to someone about, reach out, schedule a 5 or 10-minute meeting, and be mindful of their time. And finally, asking for feedback and giving the gift of feedback to others. Feedback isn't a bad thing, and it can also be positive. Maybe you really appreciate the way that someone approaches a problem, or maybe you see something that could help them level up faster. There's a really great book on feedback called Radical Candor by Kim Scott that talks about how to deliver feedback to your team. Thank you for listening. If you take one thing away from this presentation, it's that you do have the ability to change how you approach and how you handle your day-to-day. And I hope you'll try one or all of these core values out in your professional life. Stay safe and happy testing.